with the hope of being able to cut off additional tentacles. This story began on March the 7th when the Burnaby RCMP received a tip that a forged credit card had been found inside a printer that had been taken to a repair shop for service. Members of the Burnaby RCMP Economic Crime Section began immediate surveillance of a male who picked up that printer from the repair shop and followed him back to an 11th floor condo located in the Metrotown area. With the help of the RCMP's Commercial Crime Section, a search warrant was drafted, and while it was being drafted, a male and a female walked out of that condo and were arrested. When the search warrant was executed, RCMP investigators entered the condo and were amazed to find over 3,000 individual forged or stolen credit cards, payment cards, ID cards, passports, identity information along with computers, 15 hard drives, several large boxes of stolen mail, thousands of hotel receipts containing credit card data and driver's license data, payment and identity documents, a card printer, an embosser, a hot foil stamp for pressing foil onto forged credit cards, a Canada Post bag and jacket used for stealing mail, B&E tools, a small amount of drugs, and also a taser, which is a prohibited weapon in Canada, 3 replica air rifles, and 2 replica handguns. When our investigators took a look at 3 out of the 15 hard drives that we seized, we found spreadsheets containing over 44,000 individual identities of people, which included full names, SIN numbers, addresses, driver's license information, and banking information. Also located on those 3 hard drives were over 80,000 credit card numbers that had likely been stolen from businesses. When we started to run the names of the individuals found on the stolen identification cards, we have so far linked back those stolen identification cards and driver's licenses to over 80 break-and-enters or theft from autos in the Burnaby and Vancouver area. This is one example of hotel receipts that were found. We have literally thousands of hotel receipts, likely stolen from the same hotel. And on every receipt, there's a photocopy of the customer's credit card, driver's license, and of course all of their personal information. And we believe that this information here was used in order to create false identities and to do account takeovers, as well as to apply for lines of credit in other people's names and apply for credit cards in other people's names. We've also found hundreds and hundreds of legitimate identification. This box here contains about 500 individual pieces of identification belonging to 115 people. In each case, we have usually a driver's license, a couple of credit cards, a banking card, and other identification belonging to 115 separate people right here inside this box. So that indicates to us that these were most likely taken in thefts of wallets and purses from theft from auto or break-and-enters in homes. We also found many, many passports. And inside the shredder, inside this condo, we found numerous passports that were unsuccessfully shredded. And here I have a couple from Canada and another one from Great Britain. And as well on the table, there are dozens of passports that have not been shredded. The male and female who were arrested on March 7th have been charged each with 19 counts. Charged is 29-year-old Burnaby resident Anthony Pavo Stulik and 21-year-old Burnaby resident Stephanie Jean Smythe. They have been charged each with a total of 19 counts that include possession of a prohibited weapon, possession of stolen property, forgery, identity theft, possession of forged passports, possession of equipment used to forge documents, and possession of stolen mail. In addition, we located 24 separate aliases that were allegedly used by Mr. Stulik for bank account takeovers or to create bank accounts in the names of a false alias, or to transfer funds from a legitimate account holder into a bank account that he had created under a false name, or to apply for lines of credit or credit cards in those false names. The investigation is ongoing, and we are going to be investigating this file for many, many months to come. There are tentacles that reach out into virtually every municipality in the Lower Mainland, many dozens of businesses. But there's a message here that we want the public to get loud and clear. And that is that you need to safeguard your personal information to prevent it from being used against you in a fraud. And there are a few steps that people can take in order to prevent that from happening. Number one, don't leave your purse, your wallet, or any identity documents in your vehicle. Many of these thefts were taken during thefts from vehicle, and those are all avoidable crimes. Also, don't throw your personal mail in the garbage or into recycling. It needs to be shredded. If it has your name or your address on it, it must be shredded. Don't provide personal information over the phone unless you are 100% sure you know who you are speaking with. And shared documents are no longer required to do annual credit checks through Equifax and TransUnion. There are generally two credit reporting agencies that are used. That is Equifax and TransUnion. And if you believe that you may have been the victim of any type of identity theft or fraud, then it's highly recommended that you contact both of those companies and inform them so that they can flag your personal credit account so that someone can't apply for loans in your name. If you need additional information, Canada has an anti-fraud website, which is antifraudcenter.ca, where excellent tips can be found about what to look for and ways of preventing identity theft. Any questions?
How did they get the hotel receipts? Did one of them work in a hotel?
We don't know yet. What we do know is that at this particular hotel, the receipts were stored in boxes in a storage room, and it appears that there was some sort of a break-in or an entry, at the very least, to that storage room.
And what hotel was it?
That was a Sandman in Surrey. There was another hotel as well.
And which one was that?
Ramada.
And where's that?
I'll get back to you on that.
And so is there anybody at the hotel involved, do you think? Are you investigating any employees at all?
Well, we don't have any information that would lead us to believe that any hotel employee is involved, but we know that these exhibits that you see here are just part of a larger ring of people who are involved in these thefts, the break-and-enters. And it's very likely that even though we arrested only 2 people and 2 people are charged, but there are many others who are involved. Obviously, this is a very organized group of people who are committing these crimes.
Can you describe how you think that organization works? Because it's kind of quite a variety of different things. It's the hotel receipts, credit cards, passports, stuff in DNEs. How do they actually, what's the picture of the scenario?
You know, that's a question I don't have the answer to. I don't know exactly what this organization looks like because we just started to see the tip of the iceberg on it. We have numerous other investigational tips to follow up on. We have leads that we're following up on. We have other identities and people that we need to track down, but so far we don't know exactly how this group is operating.
How does this compare in magnitude to past ID theft?
This is very big, very significant. I personally have not seen a file of this magnitude involving this kind of volume of documents, payment cards, credit cards, identification, with so many spin-off areas that we still have to investigate. We will be at this one for a very long time.
So how many victims do you think there are then altogether?
We don't even know yet, because we're dealing with the physical cards that we've located, the payment cards and the identification and the passports, but then we're also finding that there are tens of thousands more that have been found on the hard drives of the computers, and so far we've only been able to look at 3 out of 15. So we don't know just how big this thing may get.
So somebody who's watching us that stayed at the Ramada or the Sandman, what did they do? Did they call you, or, you know, was there anything, did it go as far as taking money out of accounts, or would they notice anything on their credit cards?
We don't know yet. This investigation is so big that we haven't had the opportunity to be able to start looking up additional names and finding out exactly what may or may not have been done. We know that it involves virtually every chartered bank where false accounts were set up and transfers from legitimate account holders were made into these false, fraudulent accounts. But I can't answer that question yet. I don't know if any of those hotel guests have been victims themselves yet.
Are these two